So we all know who Nasty C is. He's one of the biggest acts in South Africa and one of the biggest artists to come out of South Africa in the last decade. And it's been amazing to watch his rise to the top of the rap game, being someone who's been listening to Nasty since the Price City days. So he came out with his breakout mixtape, Price City, which featured his breakout single, Juice Back. That song caught the attention of none other than Casper Nyovest, who was one of the hardest acts in South Africa at the time. But it also caught the attention of Davido, who I'm sure we all can agree is one of the biggest acts to come out of Africa since probably, who can I say? Oh, so many. But yeah, he's one of the biggest acts to come out of in Africa. He continued his path to success with his debut album, Bad Hair, and it received a lot of critical acclaim from fans and from the big names in the rap game, right? And then he released the extended version, which featured the likes of French Montana, Teleman, and Rolene, and had hits like Allow and Hell Nah. And those are two of his biggest songs to this day. People can argue and say this song is bigger, that song is bigger, but those two of his biggest songs in his entire career, right? He then cements his place in the game with his classic album Strings and Bling, the follow-up to Bad Hair, with big features like ASAP Ferg and the likes of Rolly and High-End Shoes also putting in some good features on the album. And then he had hit singles like Strings and Bling, Jungle, King, Legendary, SMA, and Mrs. Me. Everybody loves those songs and they are the top charting songs from that album. And then the height of his career, everybody expects him to do his best and to continue that and to create something on the level of Strings and Bling. But instead, during COVID, when everybody was then worried and wondering, are we going to still get music from Nasty C, who hadn't dropped a single, like, not even a mixtape in 2 years because Strings have been dropped in 2018. It's 2020. People are waiting for this new album. He's been teasing it. He's been saying he's going to drop Zulu Man with some power. So during the height of COVID, he dropped Zulu Man with some power. And this doesn't sit well with a lot of fans. It wasn't received well by his fans as it was a lackluster effort. And despite all the hype and build up to it and everything that he said about it, saying it's going to be such a huge album, I mean, it did have big features like T.I., Ari Lennox, Lil Gotti, and the late Lil Kid, and hits like Palm Trees, There They Go, Buku Bugs, and many other hits as well, but it still didn't make the same impact as Strings and Bling. I remember going to school the day or that next Monday, because it dropped on the Friday, obviously. The next Monday, you go to school, and obviously everybody's talking about the new release. Everybody's talking about that new Nasty C. So now we are arguing. So I remember we were arguing about the fact that it was whack, low key, and it definitely wasn't as good or even on par with Strings and Bling. And then some people are like, no, it is good. It's a little bit like, no, it's never going to be as good as Strings and Bling. I doubt he will ever drop an album of that level. We were all doubting it after that. So around the time he dropped Zulu Man with some power, allegations of his fall off start circling and people start basically saying that he's not as good as he was. He's not the same act that he was when he dropped Bad Hair and Strings and Bling and he had hits like Juice Bad and all of that. And I must admit, I was also one of those people who was doubting his abilities and doubting his ability to make another great album. So allegations of him falling off quickly started making runs and throughout the industry, throughout his fans, everybody was just saying that there's nothing nice to see that we know. But luckily the boy didn't let that get to him or get in his way or get in his head. As he went on to release hit singles like Yay, Yeah, 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 Yeah with Blackie, Jack, Why Me, Can't Imagine, and Lemons with AKA. And these are big songs. To this day, these songs are still charting. To this day, those songs are still at the top of the charts, still getting the numbers. So he was just giving us a glimpse of what was to come. And what we didn't realize was that he, this entire time, was crafting and cooking up an amazing album. So he then continues this run into the build-up of his next album, releasing songs like No More and Crazy Crazy before releasing his album I Love It Here. And I won't lie, I was worried when I realized that, hey, Nasty C just dropped. I was like, is it going to be another Zulu Man with some power, or is it going to be somewhat on the level of Strings and Bling? And if we're being honest, I think that Nasty C has basically now put himself, him and Avery's have put themselves in this bracket that Drake is in, where your fans just love the past version of yourself and will never be satisfied with whatever you bring to the table in the future. Whether you even give them a classic, they will always be skeptical of it and they'll always question your every move. I just feel like they're all in that bracket and they're all suffering from their success. Their success is basically bringing them down and not letting them actually go further and create much more bigger classics, right? So he releases I Love It Here, which is definitely his best work since Strings and Bling, if we're being honest. It is somewhat on that level of Strings and Bling, redeeming himself and proving he still has what it takes to release an amazing album. Now, if we think about it, I feel like I Love It Here is definitely one of the best albums in South Africa right now that has released this year, definitely. But when you think about all the other releases like Paradise 2 by Aries, which is a juggernaut of an album, it does shine on the light of I Love It Here, but it also makes for competition. And just recently we saw that the Ivy Sons and the Slimes made peace and they realized that there's no use in fighting because that just means that they're just putting their favorite artist in a bad position where it's like they're rivals, but they're not really rivals. They're just rivals because their fans will always put them against each other. And that's not right, in my opinion. That's not right at all. I want everybody to just love music and enjoy listening to music. Because if you can enjoy listening to music peacefully, then what's the point? Because that's the whole point of listening to music, is to just relax and enjoy that moment, Just putting on I Love You Here, putting on some amazing tracks by Nasty, amazing tracks by Reese, amazing tracks by anybody, and just enjoying yourself. And I won't lie, I have really enjoyed I Love It Here. This morning alone, I was bumping it. I was like, hey, you know what? Since I'm going to be doing a video about Nasty C, might as well just bump I Love It Here. And safe to say that was a good decision because I really enjoyed it. It does have a whole lot of replay value, and I think it's still going to be listened to for years to come, just like String and Bling and Bad Hair. And it will definitely just remove that dark cloud that was over him with, Zulu Man with some power. But he definitely has redeemed himself in my eyes and in the eyes of every or many other South Africans' eyes as well. So I am very proud of Nice to see, and I'm happy that he was able to make the comeback, and I'm happy that he was able to deliver such a big album and such an amazing album, and I'm happy that he took his time with it. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that artists need to take their time making a masterpiece, bro, because you cannot make a masterpiece in a rushed time period. Like you cannot make a masterpiece in a year or in 6 months. You need at least 2, 3 years. Just take that time off, go into the darkness and just focus and just actually put your all into it. Because if you watch the documentary of I Love It Here, you see that that's what he did. He was just in the stew. He was in the lab working, creating something that was just gonna blow South Africans' minds away. Not just South Africans, but international fans as well. Because we don't know how big Nasty C is across the world. He's known in America. He's signed to an American brand and to an American label, which is Def Jam, not Def Jam Africa. He signed to Def Jam, bro. So we know that boy got it like that. So, and now he's just proving that he actually deserves to be in the seat that he is today and in the position that he is today. And I have to say, props to him for doing that. Shout outs to him. And I just hope that he keeps this flow and he keeps going and he just keeps giving the fans what they actually want. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this. That's all I have to say about this album and the story of Nasty C. and his come up, his rise, his slight downfall, and then his redemption arc. And he's definitely in his redemption arc right now. I can't wait to hear what he brings to the future. I know you guys and all of his fans also can't wait to hear what he has in store for us for the future. I am not really hoping for an album next year. I don't really want an album next year. I think he should take his time again. Maybe give us an album in 2025. I'll be cool with that if we get an album in 2025. I mean, I will miss him, but if he continues doing what he does normally, which is release singles throughout the year to keep us fed and to keep us like happy and having the music that we actually need and want, then I'm cool with it. Then he can do that and give us an album in 2025 or just maybe drop a mixtape. I mean, when last did we hear like a proper Nasty C mixtape? That's not counting the Ivy Sun mixtape, the one he dropped with his team. I want like a full-on Nasty C mixtape, something on the levels of Today's Tragic Tomorrow's Memory, or maybe even better, or somewhat on that level, because I know in what high regards people hold that piece of work, and I am the same. I think it's a masterpiece of a mixtape. So if you can also just give us things like a mixtape or EPs or music packs or just something to just keep us fed until we wait for his next album to drop, I'd be cool with that. I would really be satisfied and happy with that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoy everything that NSCC has been putting out lately. And if you did, then leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell on, share it with your friends, their friends share it with their friends, and so on and so on, so that everybody can get into this music and everybody can get into what I'm putting along. But yeah, that's it from Fuego. Signing off from me and from the rest of the TOW crew. And what can I say? Peace, guys.